again, it's Mark here, and today we've been again invited by Edward at Elegant Motors here to do a quick little review about this Ferrari 360. Now this is a manual version, obviously they come in the F1 as well, and this car here features a 3.6 liter V8 engine which actually puts out about 395 horsepower, up about 20 horse from the predecessor, which was the Ferrari 355. So I'm going to talk about 5 things that you probably didn't know if you're not an owner of one of these cars. So number 1, let's talk about the brakes. I think everybody can appreciate that a Ferrari is generally a performance car. And performance means acceleration, it's power, it's handling, it's braking. That's performance. A true performance car is well rounded. A Ferrari like this actually has great brakes for the street. You take this car on the track, and if you didn't know, you do now, basically, or if you're an owner of one of these cars, you'll find that these brakes quickly fade and they really do not hold up to the task of braking this car if you're taking it on the racetrack. So really, to be quite frank, the brakes are very weak. So there's one thing about this car, it has weak, underrated brakes. Now, number 2, the transmission in this car is a manual. It is a manual gated shifter, which is a thing of beauty. Now I think a lot of people like the new twin clutch, single clutch or twin clutch automated manuals dry clutch setup. They're fast, they're easy to operate, and they're getting a lot more user friendly. The days of the manual transmission are going away. This is one of the last of a kind, of a dying breed if you will, and for those that really enjoy stirring the gears, this Ferrari 360 was the last of the mainstream Ferraris that really you could get these in fair abundance with a manual transmission. The newer car, the newer version of this, the F430 or the 430 Ferrari was actually, like I said, the next generation. You could still get it, although it was very, very rare. So if you were looking for a manual 430, good luck. It's a very difficult find. The 360 here, on the other hand, still a lot of them around in a manual, and if you love that gated shifter, the classic Ferrari shifter, you'll find it here. So the third thing you probably didn't know, unless you might have been one of the unfortunate owners of a car that was susceptible to burning, was some of these Ferrari 360s, and I don't think it was exclusive to the 360 per se, although there were a lot of these cars that actually did burn. Now, why did they burn? What caused these cars to burn to the ground? There was various things. Obviously, with a lot of heat in the engine compartment, because of the exhaust system, you've got potential fuel-related issues if you've got a fuel leak here, as well alternator wiring, other types of wiring that have been known to ignite or start fire in the engine compartment. Again, after all, there's a lot of heat in here, and between fuel, excess heat, it's a bad combination. And for some reason, these cars were slightly susceptible to burning. So that is another thing that you should know about these Ferraris. Number 4 thing that you may or may not know about these Ferrari 360s, it is actually the first car since all the other V8 Ferraris till this date that actually is accessible, relatively easy for routine maintenance. What I'm basically saying is if you had a 355 or a 328 or any of those generation cars before, you actually had to pull the engine and transmission. The whole show had to come out just to do a simple water pump, to do a timing belt, maintenance that is actually required to have performed every 2 years by Ferrari's books. So it became a very costly venture. Now with the 360 here, naturally this car here, Ferrari finally figured it out. And what they ended up doing was created an access port behind the seats. So what you actually have is a panel that you can remove from behind the seats. You pull the seats out, pull the panel. You can do that full service from inside, basically inside the cabin. And therefore the cost of your maintenance or your 2-year maintenance goes dramatically down, thus saving you a lot of money. And so number 5. The 5th thing you may or may not know about these cars is the battery access. The battery in these cars is actually located in the front passenger footwell. Now actually what you'll notice if you watch my previous video, this particular car actually unfortunately sustained an overcharging condition which resulted in burning a lot of electrical parts and therefore resulted in, again, additional cost to the owner. Unfortunately, very high additional cost to the owner. So it's very, very important that you focus on the proper way to maintain these cars, and in this case we're talking about batteries, so you make sure the polarity is correct. So the other thing that can potentially create a problem is accessing that battery. It's in the footwell, it's surrounded by structure that makes it very difficult to access and is potentially a hazard in itself. So there is actually a spot behind the driver's seat that when you pull a panel, there's about 5 or 6 screws, you pull this panel away and there's a dual set of posts. You've got a hot terminal which is covered by a shield, and you've got a ground post which it gives you the access to the ground. And that is actually the true way to charge the battery. Again, very important you get the polarity correct, but that's the way to charge these batteries. So again, thanks again for following, thanks for watching, and again, the same old routine. Please subscribe, like, and comment. And we're going to preview a lot more videos, a lot of driving videos to come, and I hope you like this one, so we'll talk to you soon.